our last lecture, we discussed about heterotrophic mode of nutrition into the plants. We can categorize these plants into the four types. First one is the parasitic plants, second one is the saprobiotic plants, third one is insectivorous or the carnivorous plants, and fourth one is the symbiotic plants. In our last lecture, we discussed about the two plants. First one is the saprobiotic plants and second one is the parasitic plants. Today we are going further to remaining two plants. For the third one is the insectivorous or the carnivorous plants. As the name suggests, insectivorous means the plants which can consume insect as their food are known as the insectivorous plants. Or the term carnivores. The carnivorous means you can say that this type of the living being which can consume meat or the animals as their food are known as the carnivorous. So these plants can use some type of the insect and some type of the animals as their food. They are known as the insectivorous plants. So the definition of insectivorous plants have been given as like this. The plants which eat insect which eat animals, particularly insects, are known as insectivorous plants. Hence they used insect as their food are known as the insectivorous plants. The plants which eat animals, particularly insects, are known as the insectivorous plants. So in short we can see that the plants, the insect eater plants, they are the insect eater plants. The plants which can use insect or the animals as their food are known as the insectivorous or the carnivorous plants. There are certain examples of the insectivorous plants. So the example of insectivorous plant are such as the picho plant, then Venus flytrap, then sundew plant, and then bloodwort plant. There are certain examples of the insectivorous plants. They can use insect as their food. The first one is picho plant, second one is the Venus flytrap, third one is the sundew plants, and fourth one is the bloodwort plant. There are the example of the insectivorous plants. You can go on Google and type these type of the words. You can show that how you can show that the pictures of this type of the insectivorous plants and how they can grab the insects as their food. You can show certain type of videos in which these plants have been grabbed certain type of the insect as their food. So in short we can say that the plants we can use insect as their food are known as the insectivorous or the carnivorous plants. Now these plants are also green in color and they can prepare their own food. You can saw the pictures of these plants. You can saw that they are the green in color. Because of the chlorophyll they can obtain their food. So why do this type of plants have eaten animals or the insects? So there are certain region into the soil, they are deficient into the nitrogen. So the plants require nitrogen for their growth. So in some type of or some part of the soil there are nitrogen deficiency or the nitrogens are not present at there. So the plants cannot obtain nitrogens, and nitrogens are required for the growth of the plant. So they obtain the outer source of the nitrogens, and this type of nitrogens have been obtained from this type of the insects. So they because of this reason they have been used insect as their food. So we can, in short, we can say that plants required, there are certain soil which is deficient in nitrogen. Nitrogen is required for plants. So they obtain outer source of nitrogen. And this nitrogen have been grabbed by, it is obtained from nitrogen. So that's why they do eat insect as their food. They also prepare their food, but in certain area of the soil there are no nitrogens, and the plants grown in such area will require the nitrogen. So they depend upon the outer source. Because of this outer source, they require nitrogen outer source, and that's why they eat insect as their food. These insectivorous plants have a special structure to obtain the food as insects. They develop a certain type of structure and through which they can grab the insects. So we can discuss about the pitcher plant. How pitcher plant have been grabbed the insect. So in pitcher plant there should be the pitcher like structure have been used as this called the pitcher like structure. These are the pitcher like structure. In pitcher plant, the leaf is modified in these ways. So they have been developed this special structure of the pitcher, and through which they can grab the insect. So the leaf tip is modified to form a lid. Through which mouth of the pitcher is open or closed. So the leaf tip, so this leaf tip has been produced, they are modified into this leaf tip is modified so that they form a lid. So they are open or closed. These leaves have been open or closed the mouth of the pitcher. This is the mouth of the pitcher. Through this leaf, it can be open or closed. When the insect have been grabbed by this pitcher, this lid have been closed, and when they are required certain insect, they have been opened this type of lid. So they are the open and closed structure. As the lid in our homes, there are certain type of containers which have a lid. Same as we can open or close the lid of the container. Same as this pitcher have a leaf which can open or close. So this leaf tip is modified to open or close the mouth of the pitcher. How this pitcher plant have been grabbed the insect? So as inside the pitcher, downward pointing hair is present. So inside this pitcher there should be the downward, there are pointing hair are present. So they are sharp into the points. As the insect have been grabbed, these are the sharp, downward sharp pointing hairs. There are certain type of the pointing which has the sharp edges are present inside the pitchers. So when insect come into or the enter into pitcher, the lid of pitcher close, and then they are trapped into pitcher by pointing hairs, and they produce this digestive juice secreted the insect. So when the insect have been comes into picture, suppose this is the insect. As the insect have been come into the pitcher, the lid of the pitcher have been closed. These leaves have been closed the mouth of the pitcher. Hence the insect cannot be comes out from the pitchers. So this insect have been trapped into this type of the pointing hairs of the pitchers which are present inside this structure, and they produce the digestive juice, and they can be secreted the insects, and in the from this way they can obtain their food as a insects. This process have been same for this same type of the insectivorous plants. There are different type of the plants which have been obtained or which can be produced the different type of structures to grab the insect. The Venus flytrap have been such type of the two leaves which are the open or closed. There are certain two type of the leaves. When the insect have been crumbs, their leaves are closed, and when there are no insect, they have been open. So in Venus flytraps, there are flytrap like this structure, so they can trap the insects. Into the pitcher plant, there should be the pitcher like this structures. They develop special type of the structure, and from which they have obtained the different insect through these type of special structure. So these are the insectivorous or the carnivorous plants. Our fourth type is symbiotic plants. The fourth category is symbiotic plants. Symbiotic means two organisms which live with each other and they can share their food and shelters are known as the symbiotic plants. So the definition has been given as like this. Symbiotic plants means the plants which live in association with other plants and share shelter and nutrients are called symbiotic plants. The plants which live in association with the other plants, they live together and share shelter and the nutrients. They can share their shelter and the nutrients are they called symbiotic plants. The two plants which can live with each other and share their shelter and share their food are called the symbiotic plants. This association of two different plants are called symbiotic association and symbiotic associations or relationship. These associations of two different plants are called the symbiotic association or symbiotic relationship. Both the plants are benefited. As we discussed in parasitics, there is the certain type of the parasites which can grab the food from the host, so the host become less nutrients in their form. In this type of symbiotic plants, there should be differently happen. Both the plants have been shared their food and shelter, so both of the plants have been benefited by this type of the relationship or this type of the associations. So the plants which live in association with other plants and share their shelter and nutrients are called the symbiotic plants. This association of two different plants are called symbiotic associations or symbiotic relationship. Both the plants are benefited by this type of the relationship or the associations. There are certain examples of the symbiotic plants are first one is certain fungi. Certain fungi which live on or live in roots. Certain fungi which can have leaves into roots. We can describe about fungi in our last lecture. So this plant provide shelter and food to fungi. In return, fungi produce or supply some nutrients from the soil. Hence, both the plants can get the benefits. Plants provide shelter and food to the fungi. In return, fungi supply some nutrients which are present into the soil. Then second example is lichen. These lichens have been shown into the subtype of the plants. They are green in colors. The lichens have been shown into the stems of the plants. They are green into the color. Lichens is symbiotic relation between fungi and algae. There are fungi and algae which can live into this symbiotic relationship, and this combined effect is known as the lichens. Lichens have been the symbiotic relation between fungi and algae. When fungi and algae both are live with each other, they are known as the lichens. Fungi provides shelter to the algae, and in return algae provide food to fungi. So fungi provides shelter to the algae, and in return algae provides food to the fungi. These algae are green in color. They have a green color. So they can produce their food in presence of the sunlight by the process of the photosynthesis. We discussed in our last lecture that in the presence of chlorophyll, any object can make their own food. Some as the algae, which is all one type of the living organism which have green in color. So this green color is responsible due to the chlorophylls, and due to this chlorophyll they can produce their own food by the process of the photosynthesis. So this is the symbiotic relationship in this type. Both fungi and algae provides each other to shelter and the food. Fungi provide shelter to the algae. They can give the place to live, and algae in return algae provides food to the fungi. So both are beneficial for the each other. So this type of the effect, this type of the relationship is known as the symbiotic. So in today's lecture we discussed about what are the insectivorous plants and what are the symbiotic plants. The insectivorous plants have been grabbed insect to their food, and the symbiotic relationship plants they both are beneficial with each other. They share their shelter and the food. So in homework you have to write down the answer of the question. Write the heterotrophic write the types of heterotrophic plants and their examples. You have to write down the answer of this question, that they write down the types of the heterotrophic plants. What are the different type of the heterotrophic plants, and you have also should be write down the examples of these heterotrophic plants which we discussed in our lecture. So you have to write down the question of this answer, write the types of heterotrophic plants and their examples. Thank you, students.